Hey everyone, this is Chris DeFurio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another Shift Break episode. Today we're going to be talking about fear or inspiration. Which one of those two things does your authority bring out in people when you're around them in the cafe? That is the question on the table today. Now, this episode of Shift Break is brought to you by the folks who are not only helping your equipment shine, but helping your coffee shine too, with clean equipment. That, of course, is Urnex. Urnex has been creating cleaning products for the coffee industry for over 80 years. So, depending on who's listening to this, longer than we've been alive, they have developed products for a wide range of equipment, such as cold brew, steam wands, grinders, brewers, espresso machines, dedicated cleaners for roasters. If you have any equipment that touches coffee, Urnex has a product specifically designed for that thing. And what's great about them is when they develop their products, they do so hand in hand with professionals across the globe just to make sure that what they release into the market is going to be easy to use and highly effective. And it shows in just how great their products work on the bar. I have personally been using Urnex for a very long time for many different applications and never been dissatisfied with it and always impressed. And I think you will be too. So the bottom line here is that clean equipment makes the best coffee, and the best cleaning products for your coffee equipment is made by Urnex. So go find out more information, get their products in your store, visit the website, urnex.com. Now, if you have time to listen to this episode today, maybe it's because you started using an inventory system that allows you to have a little extra time during the week. Maybe you signed up for our other sponsor of today's Shift Break, and that is Odeco. Obviously, inventory management is a key part of running a great store. Keeping everything stocked and keeping your cost of goods in line is easier said than done, but it's easier done with Odeco. Odeco uses artificial intelligence to put your POS data to work for you, and then it acts as your virtual purchasing agent to place orders for exactly what you need based on your sales history, weather, local events, and it has a more than 90% accuracy rate in predicting future sales, which is amazing. Odeco's AI obsesses over every item to predict, fulfill, and manage your inventory. Odeco partners have cut waste by 50%, reduced food costs by 9%, and saved owners and managers 2 to 5 hours per week. So this is kind of a no-brainer. If you want to cut waste, save time, streamline your ordering and inventory systems, then you need to sign up for Odeco. To try it out in your cafe, simply visit odeco.com/keys to the shop. There'll be a link in the show notes, odeco.com/keys to the shop. All right, so today we're going to be talking about fear or inspiration. And this is a topic that got brought up in a discussion I was having with the managers of Phoenix Coffee in Cleveland, Ohio. I was brought in to do a little bit of speaking and training on effective management, and it was really a great experience. Really excited for the stuff that Phoenix is doing in Cleveland. The coffee scene in Cleveland is just booming. And Phoenix Coffee is one of the cornerstones of that movement. So it was really awesome to go out there and speak to that team. And throughout the day, as we were discussing management issues and coming up with some solutions for problems that are happening in the cafe, questions the managers had, the topic of how people perceive you as an authority in the shop came up frequently in different ways. Sometimes it would come up in the, I was a peer and now I'm a manager, and so I feel like there's some tension and I'm trying to manage that tension. I don't want to be like the all business boss. I don't want to be necessarily the cool boss because I know I need to get business done. Basically, in management, there's a lot of concern about how you feel the baristas perceive you and what that means for the kind of job that you're doing. So if you think the baristas are a little bit on edge around you, that might be pretty concerning. If you think that the baristas don't respect you, they don't follow through the things you ask them to do, then there's a lot of soul searching that goes on. And these are not problems that are easily solved, but I do want to dive into this concept of authority and what you can expect, or what you want to work towards, rather, as a manager of people. First, we have to understand that you as a manager are essentially outside the culture of the barista world. As an authority, there is a gap, and you have to be separate and outside of that thing. And it's where the tension lies. People perceive you differently because of the mantle of authority you carry around with you. And the sooner you come to terms with that, the better, because when you fight against it, it just becomes weird. You become ineffective as a manager in lots of different ways. If you're trying to get rid of your authority because you don't want it and you don't want people to recognize you as the authority, then there's nobody to look to for answers or clarity or direction when it comes to what we should do in situation A, B, or C. There's a lot of toxic work cultures that are based on managers neglecting their responsibilities because they're afraid of the authority they carry with them, because they don't know what to do with it. One thing I would encourage you first is to embrace the fact that you have this gift of authority in the store. It is a gift. It is something you can use for good or for bad. And there's different shift breaks on this, actually. Specifically, one back in 2018 in January. It's called 6 Truths About Power. It's good to listen to. I'll link to that in the show notes. But the power that you've been given by the owners to steward the cafe can be channeled into lots of different directions. And I would say work to embrace it as a good thing and determine that now that you have this power, how are you going to use it to facilitate the success of the cafe's staff? So the sooner you come to terms with the fact that things are different now, the better. And now when you've made that determination, you can then address this issue of how you are perceived in the workplace. Because let's face it, a cafe rises and falls based on the effectiveness of the manager. A lot of that has to do with the presence that manager has in the cafe, and that is informed by small and consistent actions over time. So ultimately, when you walk in the cafe, people could straighten up, they could be fearful, they could fear for their jobs, maybe they fear you saying something negative to them. You could be the bad news manager, as Bruce Tulgan talks about, where you're always communicating bad things to them or directing them to do something better, and never affirming them, never having good news, or you could be the type of manager that inspires people, and you are the type of person that when people see you walk in, they're glad to see you. You're the person that has answers. You're the person who they trust. You're the person that is working for their benefit. The first thing, I think, is naturally the way people view authority. People are a little skeptical, a little fearful, and for good reason. There's a lot of bad bosses out there. And so part of our job as a manager is to sort of take that baggage that people have, understand that it's there, and then work to try to build rapport over time so that you can inspire people with your presence and sort of prove the assumptions wrong. Not everyone's going to have that assumption. I know that. But you're not going to just fall into a trust-based relationship with a team that you're tasked with leading. That doesn't happen accidentally. That happens when you prove it by your actions and your words. That happens when you affirm them. That happens when you have clear and direct communication with them about the standards and work to help them succeed in fulfilling those things on the bar. You're doing this for them. You're confident in your coaching, and you've embraced your authority, and they can see that. And they can see that because you are patient and you are for them and you come alongside to coach them and help them succeed, that you having that authority is a good thing and not a fearful thing. You affirm them in specific ways throughout the day. You pay attention to what they're doing and to them as people. And you have an openness and humility about you, open to feedback, humility about your own performance, inviting feedback about how you're doing. These are all elements that are incredibly necessary for you to be able to walk into a cafe and see people be inspired. When you see people straighten up, it could be because of 2 reasons. These ones: fear, because they're afraid of you, or inspiration, because you remind them that there's a higher ideal, the one you've been talking about, the one that you're encouraging them towards, the one that you're always reminding them that we're on the same path. We're working towards this together. When a manager walks in and people come to attention, we want that to be because they're inspired by that manager's presence and not because they're fearful of that manager's wrath. this is a journey. This is something that you have to apply on a daily basis. Affirmation, clear, direct communication, confident coaching towards an ideal, and consistent application of the policies and standards that exist in the cafe. And you do all of that with humility, openness to feedback, and you're going to find that you're cultivating an environment over time where people view you in the positive light of your authority. The last thing I'm going to say about this is that you can help the culture along by addressing the elephant in the room. The rule is just address all elephants. Tackle it head on. If you don't, it's going to be tackled, but it's going to be tackled in small conversations on the bar without you there. There's going to be folklore about who you are and what your intentions are. If you are upfront about your intentions and you address the elephant in the room and address the tension that exists and explore it head on, that is key. There's many times talking to managers where they will ask me questions about a situation, and they'll explain how they're feeling about something or somebody. They'll explain the dilemma that they're having and the tension that exists, and they'll do so with freedom and eloquence. And then afterwards, so often I'll say, have you told them that? Have you asked them those questions? So often the answer is to just be direct, and then people will realize, hey, they're not afraid of addressing hard things. And that's part of your job as a manager, is to address hard things. And when you do, you don't give it room to metastasize and create toxicity in relationships. You nip it in the bud, and you just go from there. So with that said, I hope that these things inspire you to have less fear about your role as a manager and more confidence that if you play the long game and apply these consistent positive values to your culture, you're going to find that people, yes, view you differently, but that it's in a positive light. And they're going to be thankful that you have the authority of a manager, and you're going to be thankful as well. So I hope that this episode was helpful for you. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you here next week for another edition of Shift Break, from keys to the shop.